Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for making time and joining the call today. Webinar is going to be informative. We will be talking about full material disclosure, and today's topic will be the significance of full material disclosure data for your compliance program. Right? And my name is Sashi. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. And before we go ahead and start this webinar to understand, where you stand, let's do a quick poll to tailor this webinar to tailor it according to your needs. First poll goes like this. Let's wait for some time till people respond to the poll. We have some interesting answers coming in. Great, great. Are you able to see the poll results, Abhi? Let me publish the results.
Yeah.
And I think like 66% of them say that, they have basic knowledge. I believe this is a perfect platform for you to understand what is, full material disclosure. Right? It's perfect. So now, before I introduce our speaker right now, let's go over the mundane housekeeping, rituals, what we call it. All the participants will be muted, and this webinar is recorded and it will be sent over to you once the webinar is done. Stay until the end of the webinar. We have a special surprise for you to automate and help your compliance program. Right? Before we start, I would like to take you through our topics or the agenda that we have set for today's full material disclosure discussion. We will start with an introduction to full material disclosure and then discuss full material disclosure data exchange standards like IPC 1752A, IPC 1754, IEC 62474. And also we'll be discussing business cases for full material disclosure, full material disclosure problems, and also tips to solve all these full material disclosure problems that you have on a day-to-day basis, right? And in the end, we'll also be discussing why full material disclosure is required for your compliance program. Right. So now that's a lot to discuss, and to shed light on these topics, I have Abhishek Shetty. He's going to be a featured speaker today. He is a CEO of Aquis Compliance and comes with 15 years of experience in compliance world, and he has helped many organizations navigate compliance challenges and help them succeed in their sustainability goals. Welcome, Abhi. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Hey, thanks, Shashi. Thanks for that introduction. Can you also share the screen, the slides?
Yes, definitely. Allow me a minute. So before we do that, I think we'll start with the why FMD or what is FMD. Let's go ahead and do that. Right? Just a second. Let me pull up the screen.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Right. So there are different types of audience here, right? And most of them may be trying to understand the basics of full material disclosure. So we will touch upon some of the basics just to make sure that all kind of participants gets value out of these conversation, right? First of all, let's understand what is full material disclosure, right? Full material disclosure is nothing but the homogeneous level breakdown of all the materials and substances a product is made out of, right? And this complete material and substance level breakdown at homogeneous level helps in evaluating that particular component, part, or material against this declarable substance or regulated substance list for different regulations across the globe, right? Like including the RoHS, REACH, Prop 65, and others, right? Before we dive deep, now you need to understand what is a material, right? Like a material here to help you visualize better, I have put a picture of a resistor, right? A small resistor. See, each material is something which is made out of multiple substances or mixtures, which takes a shape and a form and becomes a material, right? So in this case, you could see there are a lot of materials in goes inside making this resistor. There is a thin metal film, there is a ceramic carrier, there is a protective coating outside, right? And then there is a helical cut to reach to the desired resistance value, right? There is end caps with lead, right? So these are the materials which a resistor is made out of. Now, each of these materials is a combination of different substances, chemicals at their homogeneous level, right? So that is what full material disclosure help us, right? Now, let's see an example of a full material disclosure, like how suppliers provide this data to you, right? That's why I have this example here. This is a full material declaration for a gas discharge tube, right? So in this case, the supplier is specifying all the subcomponents, the subparts, right? That the final part that gas discharge tube is made out of. We have a little small picture on the right top, right? So each of these supplier is specifying the materials, homogeneous material for each of these subcomponents. For example, here, lateral electrode is made out of tin plated alloy, right? And they are specifying what is the weight of that one particular homogeneous material. In this case, they are specifying it in grams, that is 0.369 grams. And supplier will also specify you what are the substances, the homogeneous level substances this material is made out of, right? So in this case, tin plated alloy material is made out of three substances, which is iron, nickel, and tin, right? All of these substances has CAS numbers, right? CAS numbers is a unique identification number to each of these chemical. There is chemical abstract service, which is maintained by American Chemical Society, right? Which is a unique identification which is given to each substances. So supplier will also, this CAS number is really helpful for us in doing our evaluation due diligence. We will come back to that. So they provide these CAS numbers, or in European Union, there is a similar kind of chemical identification or substance identification number called as EC number, which you would have seen in a lot of these RoHS REACH regulated substance list, right? That is the difference between the CAS number, EC number. It's a different numbering system followed, right? At different parts of the world. And here, supplier has not provided an absolute weight of these substances, but he has told what is the percentage of these each individual substances against the total material weight, right? This iron is 56%, 56.4% of this weight. So we can do the calculation and arrive at the absolute number, but they are also specifying the percentage against the total part weight. Total part weight is accumulation of these number, right? Which will come around 0.765 or something, right? So this percentage is like this iron is close to 20% of the entire part weight, right? So this is the whole the percentage against the whole components weight, and this is the percentage against the respective material weight. Why is this supplier maybe providing in this way, right? Because some of the regulation restrict or regulate the substance at a homogeneous material level, like RoHS. RoHS regulates this at homogeneous material level, like it cannot cross 0.1% of the tin plated alloy, for example, if there was a lead, right? But for REACH, the threshold limit of 0.1% weight by weight is at the entire article weight level, that is, or the part article level, right? So this is how the FMD data looks, right? Now, you may be aware that different suppliers provide the FMDs in different formats. This is one format. Some supplier will provide it in absolute weights, right? Some supply here in this case they have provided in percentages. Some supplier will provide you in ppms, that is part per million, right? And there is no one common structure which is widely used, right? But industry has tried with various standard like International Printed Circuit Board, like IPC and IEC, and earlier the JIG, the Japanese Industry Coalition. All of them have tried to come out with some kind of data exchange standard, right, between suppliers, between the supply chain or within your value chain, right? But however, it is not widely used compared to some of the other standards or templates like CMRT, which got widely adopted, right? But yeah, so so next we should talk about these standards.
Yes, Abhi, perfect, right? I would want to, like, speak my heart out here. Such a beautiful way of representing like data of a single part. Like, as you said, like earlier, you showed an example of a resistor, and a small resistor is less than an inch, like, smaller than an inch, right? Such a minuscule product, and so many components and so many, like, metals or substances going to making such small part, and that small part is represented, like, what is where is what, and how much of composition you use. That's a beautiful way of telling what is the composition of the product. I believe that's absolutely right. And as you said, like, there are ways to represent this data, and there are, I believe, 3 FMD data exchange standards. Like, I would like to move forward, and I would like you to take us through IPC 1752A, IPC 1754, IEC 62474. And I would like you to shed some more light. I'm excited to hear about this.
Sure. Right. So now there was no particular way the suppliers can communicate this data, right? So the industry associations have come out and put their effort in building some standards, which is now commonly used in the industry, right? The IPC 1752A is one of the leading the material disclosure standards, which is widely used in electrical, electronic related product manufacturing line, right? Aerospace and defense industry can use IPC 1754 to procure a declarable substance list or the complete material declarations for the automotive, so aerospace and defense products. IEC, the International Electrotechnical Commission, also came out with a hazard substance evaluation standard. So we will go ahead and shed some more, some more details about these standard, right? What are they made out of? So let's move to the IPC 1752A standard, Shashi.
Right away.
Okay, so IPC 1752A, the latest version only has an XML formats as a standard. The 1.1 version also had a PDF output, right, which you could have used, but now more of it is in XML system readable format, right? But there are 4 classes here, right? The one is the basic query list, right, where you are just understanding. If you use class A, you will be just asking your suppliers to declare yes or no, right? Whether it is compliant to RoHS or REACH, you're going and asking them to declare for regulations. The class B is little more informative, where the suppliers can also include the substances which are intentionally added to the product, as well as substances which are maybe present above the threshold level for the list threshold level, right? They can proactively identify and declare that in the class B version if you use for IPC 1752A standard. Then the JIG 101 list, which I was talking before, like in class C, there is a declarable or the reference declarable substance list. You are declaring against a particular list of substances, right? Whether you are compliant or not. And if you are not compliant, you are providing the substance of concern. I mean, whichever the substances of concern is above the threshold, you will provide that information, right? So basically, you are declaring against a declarable substance list. Now, JIG 101 has become merged with IEC 62474, right? Whatever the declarable substance list you will see in IEC 62474, which we will also touch upon in our following slides. So that declarable substance list and the REACH HVAC list you can declare using the class C. But the class D is what most of the customers, most of the companies are requesting their suppliers with, right? Where it is a complete homogeneous level breakdown of all the materials and substances, their weight, CAS numbers, and I mention if there is anything confidential, so on and so forth, right? So the class D of IPC 1750 to A is the most comprehensive declaration, right? So with that, let's understand what is IPC 1754 and how was it a bit different compared to IPC 1752 A, right?
Perfect. Abhi, I have a follow-up question for this. Like, is it limited to any particular industry or any particular regulations, or this can be used for any regulations or any industry?
Class D, IPC 1752A Class D, I mean, it is ideally made for electrical, electronic, and even for mechanical, electromechanical kind of product lines in various industries can, of course, use this, right? This is specifically made for that. But I mean, that is where it is recommended, Shashi.
Okay, perfect. I'm making a note of this. Quite exciting. So let's move on to the next standard of exchange. Yeah, IPC 1754.
Again, here also there is three classes. One is simple. You are specifying industry defined statements saying that whether you are compliant, true, false, or unknown, right? Whether you comply with the required restricted or declarable substance list, which automotive, I mean, sorry, aerospace and defense industry has come out with, right? Aerospace and defense industry coalition has come out with a declarable substances, which is called ADDSL, right? Automotive and defense declarable substance list. So you can just specify at a basic level whether it's the statement is true, false, or unknown. But at class F, you need to report, I mean, basically against the declarable substance list, you are saying whether those substances are present, declarable substances are present or absent, right? You are specifying which are those declarable substance list is in your product, right? But class G again is a homogeneous level breakdown of all the materials and substances your product is made out of, which is more comprehensive declaration expected by the aerospace and defense industry. So that's where this IPC 1754 has been widely used.
Okay, I have a question on this as well. Like, earlier on the slide, we had full material disclosure under class D, and here under class G, it says full substances declaration. Is there any kind of difference, or is it the same?
It is the same. Basically, here, I mean, again, the supplier is declaring all the substances at homogeneous level.
Right.
And here, one more thing is also they need to declare about not only in the product, right? They also have to specify in their process, right? If they are using any kind of declarable substances in their while processing this part and whatnot, right? While manufacturing this, they have to also declare those substances against the ADDSL and specify if there is any non-compliant or declarable substances in their process as well.
Right. So, and this is only used for aerospace industry?
Yeah, it is made for aerospace and defense industries, and it supports the ADDSL, that is Automotive Defense Declarable Substance List, right? So it is made for them. Yeah.
Right, perfect, excellent. So let's move on to the next standard, and that is IEC 62474.
Okay. See, IEC is basically like the simple class F, or you saw class C in IPC 1752, or class F in IPC 1754. IEC is also, I mean, as I said, this was built by International Electro. I mean, IEC means Electronic. I mean, International Electro Technical Commission, right? So they also maintain a declarable substance list, right, which is a combination of different regulation, right? These declaration substance include the REACH HVHC, right, and also the restricted list. There is RoHS list. There is battery regulation. It supports POPs regulation, the organic pollutant, persistent organic pollutant regulations. It helps in eco design requirement. Includes the eco design requirement and various standards like the JIC 101, right? So it is a, it intend to, this declarable substance list intend to support all these regulations, and then there is a set of list of substances where you need to go and say whether those substances are present or absent in your product, right? So and declare compliance against the regulations, and identify declarable substances in your product, right? The usefulness of IEC 62474 is its XML format. It is system compatible format, right? Right now, to effectively utilize the FMD, you need to have a technology also to identify if something is going above the threshold, automatically notify you if there is any substances of very high concern, right? So this is an XML format which is used by, widely in Europe. A lot of companies use this as well. But IPC 1752A is what mostly widely used standard in the electronic, electromechanical, electrical related product lines. Shashi.
Right, perfect. I think we have a quick poll before we proceed. I would like to take this with your permission. Right,
Yes, please.
yes, yes. Let's do a quick poll, and sorry. So the next poll would be, what is the biggest challenge with FMD that you face? Let's wait for the participants to respond to this poll.
Sure, sure. While you are responding, please participate and provide your opinion. Couple of more things I can touch upon on IEC. There is a couple of other things in IEC which you want to know, maybe, is the reference substance list. Other than the declarable substance list, there is a reference substance list built by IEC, which includes this indicative list of substances that are included within a substance group, right? There are some substances which has been specified, declared under these regulation, but there might be a group of substances, more chemicals in that chemicals and those compounds, right? So reference list also help you to, proactively observe these reference list also, and user has the capabilities to declare the material class, whether it is a steel, gold, or things like that, right? They also have an option to specify the class of the material. Shashi, those are all couple of other things. Maybe you can go ahead.
Then we publish the results. I think we have most of the answers in. That's great. And the top one says supplier response is the issue. Who doesn't have issues with the suppliers? That's the common issue everybody has. Right. Perfect. Right. Let's move on. We have something in the pipeline to talk about supplier response issue. We will discuss this in the future slides. With your permission, Abhi, can we move on to the next slide?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, there we go. Here we're going to talk about business cases for FMD.
Okay. Sure. Right now, the major question we need to answer here is why FMD, right? What is the advantages? Why are we collecting? I mean, how do you go to your management and tell them that why you need budget to source FMDs or include FMD into your projects, right? The main thing is supply chain transparency, right? Basically, if you are just collecting a ROS declaration, reach declarations, right? You don't know the complete, you are believing that supplier would have done the due diligence um, uh, and would have given you the information, right? But you are still not sure. Not all suppliers are the same, right? Whenever I see a blanket declaration for a supplier who has like 6 7 categories of products and say gives us a blanket declarations like all of my products are compliant to REACH or do not contain PFAS. Sometimes it is little bit too true to believe, right? Or it does not create that transparency. So knowing the complete breakdown and knowing the substance, having that substance level control of your compliance program help you have that transparency within your supply chain, also have the traceability. I mean, if somebody is claiming that they are using lead in some use case and claiming some exemption for RoHS, you will know where is this substance used and cross verify whether a exemption is suitable for in this applications, right? Or supplier has not wrongly claimed the exemption. So there are a lot of use to respond to your industry notices, enforcement action, so on and so forth, right? But definitely the most important thing is you can reduce the cost of ongoing compliance, right? You don't have to go back to the suppliers again and again. As and when the new substance gets added to some of these regulations, like you reach HVHC list gets at least twice a year. Last year it did 3 times, right? Unprecedented. So new substances are getting added to these regulations, and you don't want to fatigue your suppliers by reaching out again and again throughout the year for an updated declarations, and that will also add cost, maintenance cost, administrative cost, so on and so forth, right? So of course it will reduce your ongoing maintenance cost also wherever you have FMDs. We understand that I mean, expecting 100%, especially for a electronic, electrical, electromechanical, I mean, little more complex product manufacturer, uh, it is difficult to get 100% FMD from suppliers, right? But some of the projects we have seen, it is crossing more than 90% also. But on an average, even if you get 70-80% of response, forget it. Even if you get 50-60% of response, it is still a huge cost benefit, right? Especially in maintaining that, right? And help you in future proofing, right? For these new substances added, changes to the regulation, new restricted substance regulation popping up in some other part of the globe, right? It will help you to future proof and also help your engineers, right? At bringing this at new part introduction, material selection, or procurement level, having this information help your engineering team and procurement team to source sustainable parts, right? Or use sustainable suppliers or parts in your new designs, right? So it will encourage the design for sustainability initiatives of your company, right? But fundamentally, demand is growing, right? Lot of our customers are coming back and asking and demanding for full material disclosure. Sometimes they are asking this in their procurement policy itself, right? So the demand is definitely growing, and you need to, of course, if it is one or two customers, like earlier, you would have said no, we don't have it. But I think if majority of your customers start asking it, then suppliers are also becoming obligated to go and test their components and have the complete material data information for supplied to their customer for supply chain transparency, right? And also we are seeing this trend, right? Even carbon footprint laws are now being tied to the material composition for sustainability reporting, right? In LCA, at chemical mixture product level, they are looking at the emission at each homogeneous substance level, right? I mean, if it is a ethanol which is being used, what is in that processing, procurement, or the manufacturing, what is the carbon emission at each of these substance level, right? So the carbon footprint data, the life cycle information will also be eventually tied to the tied to this. So you have a strong business case to go to your management and explain that why we need to go to the full material disclosure way, Shashi.
Yes, I think it's like a DNA for any regulation. Like, you have this FMD, I believe you have most of your regulation problems sorted, or like, issues are resolved, like, with just all that data in one format that they require. It's a great thing. And I believe, like, talking about future proofing for material compliance regulation, I think you have written a blog on this, Abhi. I would definitely like to share this blog with you guys, like, post the webinar. Please go read that. It's very informative. And I believe we have more things in place. Like, let me move on to the next slide. Like, this talks about the FMD problems.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, before implementing an FMD, or if you are already implemented, you would have gone through these kind of issues. But I'm bringing this in here just to give you guys, keep you guys prepared, right, for the challenges, even when you start collecting the FMD data, right? One is the data standard problem. Like, one example we saw, supplier is specifying the percentages, some suppliers specified in absolute weight. There is no one particular standard. I mean, even if you request for providers the FMDs in IPC 1752A class D, suppliers may end up providing in the format they have, and it is wise for us also to collect in the format they have, and then see if we can convert that to the IPC formats or import into our system readable format, to utilize the full potential of FMD, right? But data consistency is an issue you need to be aware of. And in the full material disclosure data itself, we see a lot of discrepancies, like cash number, wrong cash numbers, right, have been mentioned. Sometimes when they submit this in Excel format, the cash number would have converted into date format, and we see issues like that, right? Some cash numbers are not specified. Maybe supplier is not aware, or if they don't provide you those cash numbers, you will also not know. I mean, it won't help you to effectively utilize the automation to cross-reference against the regulated substance list, because same chemical substances sometimes called in multiple names, right? So cash number issue is a real issue, right? And then weight mismatches, right? The substance weight is not matching with the material weight. The material weights are not matching up with the substance weight. Sometimes some product lines, they provide the range, right? They provide a range between this range to that range. Maybe sometimes you have to take a median and use that data, right? So weight mismatch is also issue, but there is an undefined rule in the industry that up to 10% confidentiality or proprietary information, we still allow suppliers to keep it, right? But industries like automotive in the IMDS system, and some medical devices, these industries are pushing the suppliers to even specify 100% of the data, right? But still, I think from the innovation perspective, from copyright perspective, I think some level of confidentiality is fair, ask from the suppliers. But whenever we get this data, I mean, up to 10%, I mean, in us Aquis, when we are doing FMD project, we will allow the suppliers to do that. But whenever we see that it is not 100% matching, we will definitely follow up with the suppliers, go back to the suppliers and ask him to specify that, okay, please, in your, I mean, 10% confidential information, hidden information, can you please confirm that there is no substance related to the RoHS, REACH, POPs, or whatever the regulations of focus in those hidden from you, right? So you're basically going and asking them to confirm that there is no substances there which is restricted or regulated under these substances, and because they have withhold that information, you are not aware of it, and then there is a risk, right? So confidentiality and proprietary is kind of a challenge sometime, which increases the follow-ups and supplier communication. And one of the other thing is, right, I mean, you should have a effective tool to use the get the full potential of FMD. Don't mind, right? But you cannot all the time map and put VLOOKUP and figure out whether there is any substances in all of your FMDs, right, manually, right? It becomes so complex. So we have a unique way of representing FMD also in our tool. If you are our customer, you already know. Shashi, maybe you can pull up that screenshot of our tool. This is how you can utilize a full material disclosure data. Here you are seeing a Murata part, right? As an example, it has so many metals, materials like ceramics, copper alloy, glass, blah, 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 right? And then there are, and for each of these substances, you are seeing this substances belonging to glass part here, and it has been flagged for 3 regulations, right? And in the part level also, you can see, this substances is flagged for 3 regulation, but other materials also flagged. So overall, this part has been flagged for various regulations. That means there is a substance which is crossing the 0.1% threshold limit, and it's becoming non-compliant, right? So getting back to this is just to give an understanding. Using a technology is very important to effectively monitor. It's not only about having that data, but whether that data is being useful for you, right, to run the program, effectively do the analysis. So you have to leverage have to have a good tool to do this. And supplier refusing to provide the data is also a problem. Not everybody, as I said, will provide it. Even if you achieve 70, 80, 90% in electrical product line, that is possible if you are using a lot of off-the-shelf parts. Your coverage should be good compared to an custom mechanical items in some cases, right? So engaging effectively, and a lot of supplier may not publish this data in website. If you are sourcing FMD certificates through website, you may have to personally engage them or the email and phone to submit this data. And sometimes some suppliers also again re-sign the non-disclosure agreement with you before they share this information if it is sensitive to them, right? So these are the common problems we see, Shashi, in the FMD data.
Perfect. That brings me to this last part that you discussed, suppliers refusing to provide FMD. It's not only FMD, suppliers usually refuse to give out any kind of information due to lack of knowledge or any circumstances. That I think this is one of the major concerns all the users or all the compliance engineers or quality engineers have. I'm sure if there are so many problems, there must be solution. Our next slide talks about solution for all these problems. Can I move on to the next slide, Abhi?
Yes, please. Yeah, now say you have decided or already doing full material disclosure data sourcing from your suppliers. Now, I wanted to provide you some of the tips on how to go about it. First of all, where you start, right? Start with the low-hanging fruits. Like as I said, most of the off-the-shelf suppliers like Murata's, Infineons, or your Texas Instruments, or the Vishais, a lot of them do provide full material disclosure data, right? So start from there. And if you have a lot of custom defined materials where your engineering team is defining which material standard to be used, for example, a stainless steel product or somewhere, some of these information is hidden in the drawings, right? So you can, wherever the custom defined material where somebody else is manufacturing for you, but your engineering team is defining the materials or the construct of that whatever the product, maybe those are the ones you need to start first, and then move to the more complex other types of products, right? And I mean, bringing this in your procurement policies, right, or compliance manual, before signing up the supplier, setting the expectations right, and um, right by including the condition to or a term to providing full material disclosure as a standard, right, as a company policy, procurement policy, right. So will definitely help you, and that is becoming the need of the hour. I know maybe some of the suppliers you may have already signed, it might be difficult, right? But all the new suppliers you can start with and slowly extend that, because sustainability is here to stay and it's going to get more stringent, and we need to have complete knowledge of all the materials and substances to do business in a modern world, right? And you can leverage again, if you are in automotive industry, you already have an IMDS account, right? And you might be collecting MDS data, right? You can use those MDSs system like a quiz compliance tool, where you can import an MDS, downloaded MDS from IMDS tool in the PDF and import it back to the a quiz compliance tool to break down the FMDs, like Shashi showed some time back, right, to get those alerts. If you have a chemical product, some chemical items, coatings and things like that, maybe you may want to check the data in your SDS reports to know what is the concentration material substance in that chemical, and what is the percentage of each of those chemical depending upon the volume you have used in your product. You can utilize this SDS also to build some of the breakdown of the FMDs, right, and build FMDs for you. And supplier is your partner, training and support as they require, right? Like companies like Aquis. Again, we provide free IPC editor tool for the suppliers and customers to create FMDs through in IPC 1750 to a XML or PDF or Excel formats, right? We have some surprise for you in that, which we will discuss later. But helping suppliers to do this, more than being demanding, trying to partner with suppliers to source this data, if not today, also working with them if they can provide this in a year's time, right? Incremental, right? If they are providing declaration today, go and check if they can help us in FMD, because that is the standard you are trying to reach, so on and so forth, right? So supplier support is important. Instead of just declarations, wherever possible, at least if you are at a semiconductor level product lines, I think it is fair to ask your fab houses and manufacturing sites to suppliers to even provide you those certificate test reports against which they would have tested for different regulations, right? So seek those test report, if not the complete FMD test report, at least test against a particular restricted list will also help you to make your program transparent and traceable.
Right, perfect.
Right.
So I think it's time for a poll, Abhi. Can we quickly pull up a poll?
Yes, sure.
My next poll is, I think we have a question as well. We have a question too, what can we do when requesting FMD, but the supplier is reluctant, does not want to share the FMDs because suppliers say we cannot provide FMD due to proprietary reasons.
Yes. Shashi, I think you can pull up the poll also. But I'll say this is a genuine problem in the industry, right? I mean, the request for the suppliers follow-up should be they can still maintain, if they can at least provide 90% of the declaration, right? If not 100%, it should be good. But some of the kind of chips and things like that, companies are sensitive as of today, because there is a lot of things going around in terms of chip race, right, and the advancements and things like that. Sometimes it can be sensitive. We need to understand the supplier also. There are some genuine cases where there is no option then going and using the FMDs. But again, we said this has to be a company level, management level decision that we want to move forward with sustainability reporting, and these information is becoming important, and we bring this into policies and policies, right? I mean, only thing you could do for answer that question is request, make supplier understand why is it important for the data. Even if they can provide up to 90%, it is okay keeping some proprietary information. But if it is too sensitive, you can rely on COCs, right, or the certificate of compliances. You cannot really arm twist the suppliers. In some cases, we have seen those genuine cases as well.
Perfect. I think we have most of the votes here. Let me publish the result, and the top choice would be IPC 1752A. Now that's a good news for everybody who is using this format, I believe, right now. Right, now let me quickly go back here, and in this, I also wanted to follow up with this, Abhi, training and support for suppliers. I want to bring this up to the audience also, right, we at Acquist, we provide webinars for suppliers, we train them as well. So this is something that we do as an out of the box approach to keep your suppliers well equipped with the knowledge that you require to submit all the data. And this is efficiently done by our operations team who regularly contact suppliers. I believe this is a great way that we have helped our customers in the past to get more data from the suppliers because of the training that we've provided. Right, so quickly to move on with this, we have the final slide that we are talking about. Why FMD at this point in time? Why is it important? I would like to move on to the next slide. Why now?
Yes.
Big
Yeah.
question.
I want to conclude and then maybe answer some of the questions, or we can also show what other information we have. But let me conclude by saying why now, right? We said FMD, why is it important? What is the business case for it? What are the problems we typically face when including integrating an FMD into our product process, right? See, there is an unprecedented, I mean, as you are already observing, there is an unprecedented growth of material compliance regulation requirement across the globe, right? A new substances are being added or new regulation has been popping up. So, I mean, requesting data for individual compliance regulations is also making supplier fatigue, right? I mean, with 2-3 requests in a year with various regulations and so many customers, it is also becoming burdensome for suppliers, and FMDs, the only ideal path forward is what I could say. And it allows for a faster risk assessment, right? I mean, you don't have to go back each time a new HVAC is added to the reach. I mean, you can quickly run through your materials and substance list and see which are the some components affected, and go back to the suppliers and reconfirm and then I mean, you can handle the risk better, right? Of course, it gives a better supply chain visibility. You are in control. You know what is non-compliant, right? Not only through the statement, you know the chemical compositions and what is the use case where this substances has been used. And after the supply chain disruption which happened because of COVID-19 pandemic, because of geopolitical risk, war, and all of that, which is sanctions and bans and everything going around in the world, the customers, I mean, companies are pushing their suppliers to know what exactly goes inside in the parts or the materials they buy from the suppliers, right, to avoid the risk and have that transparency. So this is growing because of these reasons. You have seen circular economy models depends upon knowing material content to enable recycling, use, reuse, and safe disposal, right? I mean, for example, in SCIP also, you need to report those SVHCs. It is used in the recycling phase as well, right? But circular economy model until unless you don't tell them what is this made out of, what is this harsh chemical in there, they can't figure out what is the best recycling method or whether this can be reused or recycled, so on, and how, if there is a disposal, how to do the safe disposal of those products, right? And word is moving towards, don't mistake folks, word is moving towards the digital passport era or the electronic product declaration era. Slowly the era of labeling and declaring will move into more of scan and figure out, right? Scan a QR code or to see a DP, I mean, a product's passport, right? Digital passport of a product or a electronic product declaration, right? And when this becomes digital, now the governments can also go and ask for more details, of course, which is the substance of concern, what is the threshold, what is the concentration, all this, or you have to specify, for example, in battery regulations, the DPP has been started, so you have to specify those contents. So for that, FMD is important. But in general, because the declarations are going to go towards the digital mode, the kind of information governments and regulatory authorities want will definitely increase, because now there is no limitation on the size, how much they can use and things like that, right? So my recommendation is go and start FMD from wherever you can. Don't think of a some blue moon to start this. I think you can go and start collecting from wherever available with whatever resources at your disposal, but it's your responsibility to go to your management and educate them, convince them that why the FMD is becoming the new standard in the environmental compliance or hazard substance compliance regulation across the globe, right? Hopefully with that, I think you guys, I think even for the beginners, and we were trying to deep dive on the FMD topics today, and I can answer if any other questions are there. If you have questions, please feel free to drop that in the Q&A, right? I see one more question here. I'm asking when dealing with unresponsive suppliers when requesting them the FMDs. Okay, it's a follow-up of the same question. Supplier response, ultimately, it depends upon how much control you have on those suppliers, right? I mean, how much business are you giving them? All of this matters. That the commercials also matters to push that suppliers and get the data, right? You cannot force this issue all the time with all kind of suppliers. And sometimes you are buying with a distributor. You may not even have a direct connection with that manufacturer, right? So it becomes challenging. I mean, it's an industry challenge, not only for you, but it's about seeing what the best level of data you can procure from them, and always push for FMD. If you don't ask, you never know, right? Okay, Shashi, over to you. I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
Abhi, I think we have a surprise for the audience who stayed back, right? This is going to excite them, and this is one of the kind of features that we've developed for our well-being of compliance engineers, right? I'll definitely, before we wrap it up, I would like to share the screen to Shweta. She's our product engineer, product manager, who is going to demonstrate what is this tool and how are we going to help you to simplify this. Over to you, Shweta.
Shweta, if you are talking, you are in mute.
I have a question also. We have a follow-up question also. Will suppliers disclose 100% of product composition if requested?
100. Yeah. So sorry, can you repeat that question?
Will suppliers disclose 100% product composition if requested?
100%, yes. I mean, most of the, suppliers are doing that, right? I mean, what I can say that if they have not provided 100% data, right, you are going back and say they have declared only 90%. you are going back and asking them to confirm whether there is any substances which is, say 10%, we are assuming that they rights to keep that, right? And we are just going and asking them whether they can declare against this, confirm that they don't have anything related in these substances related to these regulations, right? We are asking them to confirm that. Sometimes 100% not possible, but most of the suppliers do provide 100% declarations. We have seen a lot of them. There can be miscellaneous items, small things, and some few things, but suppliers do provide 100%, especially in off-the-shelf components.
That's perfect, right? Like I would like to see this digital passport coming through for a conscious buyer. It's a beautiful regulation, like right, like you would know what you're consuming or what is going on in that product and what went behind making that particular product. That's a beautiful regulation. What EU has come up. I'm absolutely in support with that.
I think Shweta can you hear us now?
Yes, yes, I will be able to hear you all. Hi, Shashi. Thanks for the warm welcome. And here is the surprise you go. Like as Abhi has given the hint, we are going to take you through an exclusive look of our Aquas Material Declaration tool. And this is the first time we are showcasing this tool. And what makes it even more special is that we are going to give this tool as a free version in our website. So post to this webinar, you will be getting this access. So I'm just taking you into the tool.
Okay, are you sharing your screen, Shweta?
Yeah, I'm just starting it. Yeah.
Sure.
Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, yes, the screen is
Yes.
good.
Thanks, Shashi. Thanks for the confirmation. Yeah. So this is the Aquas Compliance Material Declaration tool. As you all know, like as Abhi started giving a deep explanation about full material disclosure, he was also telling like this 1.1 version, which we add in the PDF format as expired, and we have gone to 2.0 version. So most of our suppliers, customers also prefer for this 2.0 version. So we will be having a state where we need to re-edit the things from 1.1 to 2.0 version. So here is a tool which converts the XML format to the latest version. So if you see this tool, we like Aquas tool, we have two things like new XML declaration and upload XML declaration. New thing is like fresh thing, fresh FMD supplier can use it to build their own full material disclosure. And also upload XML disclosure is like declaration is like we get a information from the supplier, we request suppliers for a data, they give us some data, we need to validate it, we need to see what kind of information have they given, all the mandatory information filled in, like the substance breakdown is correct. So all this cannot be done in a manual thing. It is more time consuming, and bigger the IPC is, bigger the confusion is, like how to validate, what all things we need to keep in mind. So what is it, a right caste number, is it the weight is matching with it. So all kind of things, like a one-stop solution will be using this material declaration tool. So I will show you an sample, like I will upload a example file and show you. So I'm just importing an XML into our Aquas Compliance Material Declaration tool. So if you could see this file imported successful, if your XML matches, the schema matches, and this is an older 1.1 version of IPC. So I'm just converting it into 2.0 latest version IPC. So basically the older XML also, if it is in correct format, it reads and the data is filled automatically. As Abhishek was taking the a webinar, he told there is different classes, class 1, class 2, class 5, class 6, that is class A, class B, class C, and class D. So here it is automatically pre-filled. Since the already filled in data is inputted, we have the declaration, class, form, time, everything is filled in. And if we go to the next step, we have various sessions like business information, the requester, supplier, manufacturing information, the RoHS material composition, basically the exemption details, what kind of RoHS we have used, so everything. And the final part will be the breakdown of the material, substances, caste number, all the validation points takes at the fourth one. So basically, when they give the class 4 IPC, that is class D IPC, they need to fill in all the information, the material breakdown, the substance information. Using this particular full material disclosure, we can validate all the regulations, which has, like, for example, if we have RoHS substances, if we do it manual process, we need to validate the caste number, we need to put a VLOOKUP, we need to check whether it exceeds the threshold, all kind of things. If we do manually, the time consumption is more, and also there is high risk of error happening. If we miss out something, there will be an high risk of error. So in this system, everything will be automatically checked. For example, if I'm not giving this manual information, you will not be able to proceed to the next step. Only when you give this information and all the fields which is needed mandatorily is filled in, it goes to the next page. And also we have the declaration text, whether it is standard or custom. Custom means whatever information we want to type it, we can give that. Standard is, we have a standard format of IPC, whereas predefined declaration type is given and it will be filled. RoHS declarations, as Abhi said, like whether we do have exemption, we do not have exemptions, like everything can be given here in a precise format. So you could see even in the RoHS exemption, we have the Annexure 14 and also this EL 2011-534 EU. So basically, how much ever exemptions we can give this plus option and add it, and we can view all the exemption status here itself. So moving on to the final step, that is the homogeneous material breakdown, substance breakdown. So everything like single product or a multiple product, you can give complete information of the product. Validating this manually is a very hectic process actually. We cannot like go check the weight, go check the caste number and other stuffs. If all the information you have entered, like we already have a predefined set of information given into the system, it validates and gives us the output. Once you press this validate and preview message, if you have any bugs, it will be listed. For example, I will show you. I'm just changing this milligram to gram for and giving validate and preview. You could see like this is not validated. It is validated, but it is showing an error. It is not moving to the next step. It will list down all the validation error points, like what actual error is. So if I change it to the correct format and give validate and preview, it validates. It means like your IPC is in correct format. Your weight is matching. Your caste number validation is done properly. All the homogeneous material have their substance breakdown. All the information is pre-filled and everything is correct. And also, when you give this generate declaration, we have 3 different formats. One is XML, PDF, and Excel. So basically, you can take the output in what customer desires. Some customers ask us the product level declaration, multiple products you can give me in Excel format. So you can take the Excel format or the PDF and the XML output and give it to the respective customers. And if you could see, we also have this lock button. If you lock and export the IPC XML format output, you will be able to share the supplier with the uneditable format, like they will not be able to edit any data. And also reset information whenever you need some new set of information or another IPC to be imported, you can reset and import the another format of IPC. So this is an exclusive version, and we are also very happy to inform you that this is going to be available in our website, like as a free tool. You can have your hands-on experience and post a webinar. Shashi will be sharing the links for you all to have the access.
Thank you so much, Shweta. So I wanted to follow up with a question, right? Like, how, and Abhi is also, right? Like, how is this going to help the end user or the compliance engineer, this tool? Like, how is it going to help them?
So now supplier has these FMDs in their own format, right? So they can convert it into an IPC, import it, convert it into IPC 1752 XML if their customer asking in that format, right? Then the declarations, the exemptions gets updated. They might have the exemptions list or if there are any material changes, they might have to change those things. They can utilize this free tool. As Shweta said, we will be releasing it in 7 to 10 days publicly for everyone. But before that, we will send out an email to all the participants to try out the tool. You will be the first people to test the tool publicly, but in general, in our quizcompliance.com website, we will release this free tool for everybody to come and take advantage of, right? And I see one more question here. Do you have reading material for this topic? We will share the presentation with you guys, and we have few blogs written on each of these standards, and we have done deep dive. We have some blog. If you go to our website and blogs and drill down for FMD topic, you can shortlist for FMD topics. You will get a lot of reading materials to get started with FMD, right? So with that, I think we have overshot our time. Thank you for your patience and being with us, right? Shashi, anything else you want to add, or we can close it?
Yes, Abhi, there's one small thing that I want to add. Like, we have Harsha also on the line here. Like, he is our subject matter expert for ESG. Like, he will be presenting a webinar, like, next month. Like, before that, like, we will definitely inform the user or the registrants, like, with the date, and we will definitely send out an email. Before we wrap up, like, Harsha, would you like to conclude or add any thoughts on FMD?
Thanks, Shashi. Basically, I think Abhi has covered everything. One thing I would definitely add is, especially the FMD, right? The main use of FMD, if you look at now, it is mostly for the compliance use, right? And if you see at the long run, definitely it would help your sustainability ESG reporting programs, right? So that is how we have structured this webinar, where we want to help you to understand FMD and its importance, and how exactly it will support your ESG programs. Because at the ultimate level, you should know your material and what is the sourcing of it and what is the life cycle of it, and that is when you can reduce your carbon footprint and make your products more sustainable, make your operations more sustainable. Yeah. So with this, I want to conclude, and Shashi will send you the a webinar date for the ESG Essential program, and we'll all expect you to be there and see you there. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs, Harsha. That was really helpful.
Thanks, Shashi. Thank you.
Right. Like, thank you so much, guys, for your valuable time and participation. This session is recorded, and we will share this recording with you along with the presentation and any other related topics that we discussed about FMD today. You should have that email in short period.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
And also, if you have any questions, please reach out to Shashi, and we'll be able to answer it as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And we have a question also. Can you please share the blog link to the blog here? Or yes, definitely, I will share that. Hold on, please.
Yeah.
I will share all these details with you. Don't worry about it. You should have all these details, what we discussed today.
Yeah, we can send the FMD subtopic link along with our email also, Shashi.
Yes, definitely. I will do that. Thank you so much, guys, for taking time, and have a wonderful evening, and take care.
Bye-bye.